How are you? Good.
I'm just checking it out. I have to give a presentation the other day.
Oh. Did you have like
I don't have an HD in my head.
oh, is it like no?
Yeah, I use it as. Remember we have Sunday lunch today?
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me.
You was going to have ages to close of this.
Just got by so like
So we'll start with Untitled Yoga, page 7. On the coloured version. It's maybe the next page if you don't have the coloured version. So Geshe, we do in English?
Yes.
Yes, we do in English.
well, always speaking English.
Yeah, just
All right. Yeah.
From the heart of the Saviour of the 100 ages of Geshe, the King of the cloud, resembling a comfort extremely lifeless spirit. King of Dharma, omniscient Bodhisattva, please come here together with your sons. And the sky before me on the light of God, lotus and I open pure Guru's heart to delight. supreme field of merit for my mind and faith, please light for 100 eons to spread the teachings. Your holy mind has the intelligence that understands for the set of objects to be known. Your holy speech with its excellent explanations in the ornament of those of good fortune. Your holy body is radiantly beautiful with glory renowned. To you being to see, hear, and remember, I prostrate. Pleasing drinking water, various flowers, fragrant incense, the light scented waters, and so forth. Oceans and cloud-like offerings, both actually arranged and mentally emanated, I offer to you the supreme field of merit. Whatever non-virtues of body, speech, and mind, especially those opposite to the free vows that I have collected from beginningless time, and face each and every one with fervent regret from my heart. You strive for much learning and practice in this degenerate age, and made your freedoms and riches meaningful. By abandoning the eight worldly concerns, Saviour, we sincerely rejoice in your extensive deeds. Perfect pure, holy Guru, from the billowing clouds of wisdom and compassion in the sky of Dharmakaya, please let fall the rain of profound and extensive Dharma upon the receptacle for those to be subdued, exactly as they need. May whatever virtue I have collected from the teachings in all terms of my great beings, and in particular may cause the essence of perfect pure Dharma teachings to shine forever. And his two sons, may I, my family members, and all sentient beings be able to meet, practice, and actualize the teachings of Victorious One, Lord Sandrapa, who had the morality of an eminently pure way of life, when courageous in the extensive conduct of the sons of Victorious Ones, and accomplished the yoga of the two stages of supreme bliss and emptiness. By the force of having fervently requested in this way, all our beings of white are emitted from the hearts of perfect pure Father and Son, and combining into one, enter my crown. White nectar, the colour of milk, flows from the opening of the tube of white light, cleansing all my sicknesses, spirit harms, negative karmas, obscurations, and their imprints without exception. My body becomes as pure and clear as crystal. To the next line over, the 5th line, next summer. 3 times. Migme se wei te chen chen rei si, trine kebe wangpo champo ya, tupu malu chon se sa wei ta, kanchin kebe suken songko po, lo san trape shabla so wate. Migme wei te chen chen rei si, trine kebe wangpo champo ya, tupu malu chon se sa wei ta, kanchin kebe suken songko po, lo san trape shabla so wate. Migme se wei te chen chen rei si, trime kebe wangpo champo ya, tupu malu chon se sa wei ta, kanchin kebe suken songko po, lo san trape shabla so wate.
上一这个做的中文啊，
长久把的大地干世界，大地成年一片色亮，
我要感谢上一的花手。 Sanje Chola Soke Cholamba Chanchu Badu Dani Kapsuchi Dagi Chuchi Pesonaki Doa Penche Sanje Drupashu Sanje Chola Soke Cholamba Chanchu Badu Dani Kapsuchi Dagi Chuchi Pesonaki Doa Penche Sanje Drupashu 강기 도전이 존에 다가 담제 밤비 담비 주는 데지 거듭 개라 장세로 Good morning. 내가 스타카드 참대 경춘거든 경춘이 장국이 견세서 경춘이 장국이 견세 이봐 너디 게임 내가 당부 틀 때문에 수진 이거 제가 총 있어
So, good morning, everyone. We're going to continue with looking at Lama Tsongkhapa's middling presentation of the states of the path to enlightenment. So, we've been looking at the way to construct a meditation session. And today we're going to pick up from the point in which Lama Tsongkhapa explains the way to sustain two modes of meditation. So, let's look at the translation of the text. Just a second, I'll sort it out. So, Lama Tsongkhapa begins with an explanation of the reason why it needs to be maintained by means of two modes of maintaining your meditation session. Now, there are a few points to that section. We begin with the two modes of maintaining or sustaining your meditation session. First off, Lama Tsongkhapa is drawing from Maitreya's ornament for the Mahayana Sutra and explaining these two modes.
데레다디 송디 남기다 지름치 송데 담비자친 퇴고 마음자 바르도 좀 탐진 담바시 담은 생군 양수네 네다 아니 또비용데 기고를 송이 지어라스 디게 콘다 마스나 저 지진 전문 공부 송 아니 도르디 갱기 칼야 딘디지 송선도 저 디우다스
We have here a quotation from the ornament to the Mahayana Sutras. And before we read through this quotation, Geshe cited a verse that is taken from the writing of Lama Tsongkhapa, who says that the way for developing realization, echoed in the way that he did it, was first of all to seek extensive studies. Having done that, he said that in the middle, whatever he studied, done to his mind as instructions for practice. And at the end, day and night, he made effort in practicing the yoga that he has practiced. And this is the way to give rise to realizations. And this is what the ornament for the Mahayana Sutra says here. So Lama Tsongkhapa, as we said, sought extensive studies, such as, for example, he studied Maitreya's ornament for the Mahayana Sutras.
Mignam Karjanginia, Penagom Karjaginia, Chidanda Suzu the Garvas, Tachi Gom Yangi, Penashini Drimina, and Chinanika, Chinanika Yoros, and the Chiraba, and Nambi, Dell Kayamini, and Shinit, Shinil, one ship, Zuntru Turkey, and Zamni Shenda ya, and it's Zuntu to the other soul. Indeed, never Yunguras, Inaya, and a cub de Nanzu Gom di Pitachi Shinichi was Maimba, send me what Chile, dead towards a Maimba, and they see me what he, and it Muyu Nitsu, and it Dembi, Nibu Jilia, send me what they go against, and it Tambo, me what he. Karimba the jungle race. Pena danger there, meaning 신이 공부여가나 담보 den시 비리야 심주 야부친 제바 야부친 den시 내루디 신지 말아가지 신지 아니 디 덴비테네 민기 아니 신이 주바이나 신이 디게 아니 뉴문발이야 아니 갑디 क्या 통해지 아니 무님 저 통해시비게 아니 신이 기기여 왔어.
So we can choose different objects in order to sustain a meditation session. And at the end, it's totally up to us to decide what form of meditation we want to do, what type of objects we want to use for a meditation, what are the type of aspects or observations that we want to choose in doing our meditation. It's completely up to us. So we're not going to be rigid about it in saying that this is what you definitely have to do in your meditation. It's completely up to you. After all, when you look at meditation, there are forms of meditation that are common to Buddhist and non-Buddhist traditions, such as, for example, a shamatha meditation practice in which we cultivate what is called calm abiding. It's not only a Buddhist meditation, it's also shared with non-Buddhist traditions. And as such, if you practice it in a non-Buddhist way, even you can say in a secular way, you can develop the power of your calm abiding concentration to the point in which you attain an actual absorption. And when you attain an actual absorption, you can then attain those superpowers. This is to say, like miraculous powers have the special abilities attributed to the power of concentration. And they might be even displayed or revealed to the world. But still, when we look at it from a Buddhist perspective, although you can develop the power of concentration like that, our meditation is not limited just to that. What we want to do in our meditation from a Buddhist perspective is to develop calm abiding, then to turn this concentration that is heightened to reality, and use the power of the mind to penetrate reality on a deeper level. So in order to do that, first off, what we need is to study. So we choose a particular topic for our meditation. We begin with studying this topic. Like, for example, your topic for meditation might be the Four Truths. That is going to be your object of observation. So first of all, you listen to teachings or you study the Four Truths. Then you start to analyze the presentation that you have just read through, listen to. You analyze it, you investigate it, you reach a certain conclusion, and you take them on into sustaining your meditation practice, and depends upon which you'd be able to develop a deeper insight into reality. And using that, you would be able to oppose your afflictive states of mind. At some point, this meditation on the Four Truths will also be able to act as the actual antidote to your afflictive states of mind.
Nanzu gom jaya mi yu zu di nanzu gom jaya mi yu zu di sem gyu bi zangma soya che sem gi karso da sem le yebi timon lo ani nyumu tusum chagdang monsum di zangma soya che gom jaya yo di tirewas da di zangma soji gi ta di ani nyumu bi ngoji nyimbo di and Tomani Monsum to be Yishit Chagores. That Tomani Monsum to be Yishi Chedu, Monzugi, Gomjavianza, and it Migba Pigi, and Tomani to be Yishi, Migba Telemini, and a Gomjavano, and it Tomani to be Yishi Kielaya, Pentongi Shivashiki, Migba Tenguedi, Kishimoredos, Mother Chetang, Migba Chilea, and it then Shinidrubino, Pena Susan Namjugi. And Shuichi Sam Cha Desajilaya, me with the rich sonchini, Shinny Drubina, Shinny Drubella yours, Sunguyores. In a dig Pena Pentang Mimangcha, Suzuki Sadatoch, Suzuki Togainanda, Suzuki Minanda, the Dintigile, Chasam Shuchimu yours, or Dintichi, Kadin Lolo Cordia, Dintigila Minchini, Shinny Drubina, Shinny Drugores, Drugores, in addition, dig 아니 차단 내가 너그래 아니 차단 슈칠 거스라노 라마시오들 패시 비게 직소수 남주 착사기 유열들이야지 아니 영혼 따지는 디코랑 아니 로드샤니 대바이나 직진 차단 슈칠 드스그레스 로 먼저 니문이야 아니 내가 살아야 니문 패기 깨는 드스그레스 디즈 당분이 미ပတ်들이야 슈 제바치고야디 아니 패키징 분사레스로
There's a reason for saying that. We choose a certain object for our meditation, and we do that in order to cleanse our mind. That is the purpose of our meditation. That's the objective of our meditation, to cleanse our mind stream. In a more specific sense, we want to cleanse our mind stream from afflictive states of mind. So we have anger and attachment and ignorance, and we want to cleanse our mind stream. We want to purify those states of mind that are adventitious. In order to do that, we need to develop the actual antidote to those afflictive states of mind. And the actual antidote is exalted wisdom that realizes selflessness, that realizes emptiness. That is the actual antidote to afflictions. So then we choose a certain object that we focus on in our meditation in order to develop that exalted wisdom. So the object that we choose needs to support the development of wisdom. It needs to assist the development of wisdom. So suppose that you're cultivating a calm-abiding meditation, a shamatha meditation, and you're choosing an object that supports your meditative process. And as such, you can even choose something that you're attached to for the cultivation of calm abiding, for the cultivation of calm abiding. So suppose that you have someone that you're attached to, someone that you have a strong attachment to. It might be your partner or someone else. It is also suitable to choose that person as your object of observation for your meditation on calm abiding, and you can also easily attain calm abiding if you do so. But then if you ask yourself, how is it going to help in terms of reducing my attachment? Is it going to help me to reduce my attachment, or is it going to be something that will exacerbate my attachment? It's hard to say. There is a chance that if you choose such an object for the cultivation of calm abiding, you will attain calm abiding, but then also your attachment will grow and increase.
These are been dodi gengi, just chambango midina. Dina tangu tela ten, sujin yellow cheval chunks now that and Tugor Sagi, Penang the Gabogi, Sajidi, and Shini Tenzuinza, and Shini Tensu Gombi, Toba the Gila Kevalaya, and Shini Tensu Hakogos, Shini Tensu Hakoya, Shini Tensu Tembigi, Shon Delaya, Tusum Chechen, and Tango Tubachi, and D. Shong Kantembi, Tendi, Yang Samlatani. Yang Samlatani, Tini, Kongi Tevitogi, and Kongjungi, and Yishichi, Yanda Yishin Jong said, any Tiungulis, Kombito, Nanzugi, and Yamtok, Topa Seti, look Kombito Yongwaji Matobe, any Pilia Namju Shibakiwa Nashinki, Salsam Rixam Jipton Langsang, and Toby Shidi, Yungio Maristinza, Tango to and some T20 Yayan, Yayan Combatani, Yishitin Jungores.
So looking at what Maitreya says in the ornament for the Mahayana Sutra, the Sutra Alamkara, it says here, first of all, proper mental attention arises in reliance upon study. This is where we begin with study. So particularly here, we're looking at this section that is connected with a point that we've covered a few weeks ago that explained the way to rely upon a spiritual teacher. So we rely upon a spiritual teacher so that we can be taught how to sustain a meditation practice. So first of all, we study this topic. Then we contemplate that again and again and again, and then we take it on into our meditation, independence upon which realizations arise. Exalted wisdom, exalted knowledge that realizes reality or other points arises in our mind stream. So this is the way to develop in our mind stream qualities of realizations and abandonment. They will not immediately spring up in our mind. It's not that just because the nature of the mind is mere clarity and cognition, we will right away readily develop realizations. It depends upon this gradual process that begins with, first of all, studying the subject matter, contemplating it again and again, and then applying it to our meditation session. And then at some point, realizations arise in our mind.
She to be some young sheriff Tsultrim Yila Chevale, Yandabi Ten, Happy and then you can't see by the Monsum Tobe, Gonjon John Songas, just to chamber with teaching songs.
So first of all, proper attention arises in reliance upon study, and from proper mental attention again, the exalted wisdom with the meaning of pure reality as its object arises. That is to say that from proper mental attention through wisdom arisen from reflecting the meaning of what has been studied, the wisdom arisen from meditation that directly realizes the meaning of reality arises.
Any younger Mondogen, Jitun Chamugumeso, the Jungondogen, Pigi, Lamnag, Jamba Yontanti, Ninje Yanda Tantongi, Lamtan, Gombi Lam Yela, Yanda Yanda Sambatan, Jagdanito Gombi Lams, She Tijin Pabi Gonum Imbi, Yanya Sambatan, any and Java, neighbor Toyo Sombatans.
And in order to reaffirm that, Lama Tsongkhapa also quotes from the ornament of clear realizations, the ornament of clear knowledge, also by Maitreya, in which Maitreya spoke about how you sustain your meditation through progressing along the 5 paths. He says, for definite perception as well as the paths of seeing and meditation, repeated reflection, assessment, and certainty are the paths of meditation. That is to say, there are repeated reflection, evaluation, and certain understanding, which are the path of meditation of Mahayana Aryas.
Tabdile, Tetavinas, Lutan, Lonchetan, Sonum Gumincheva, Tamatan, Sonwatan, Tabatan, Bever, Chiriwara Kombachaw, she, Lu Lonche, gets us some Rela Tanson, Tapal, Shijicheva, Tamji, Gombachaw, Sombi, Gomdas, Sosutob, Shiriki, Jenny, Jegomtan.
In continuing to expand this process, Lama Tsongkhapa draws from the Compendium of Trainings. It also says, thus you should meditate, continuously giving away, guarding, purifying, and increasing your body's possessions and merit in all kinds of ways. With regard to the meditation that, according to this statement, should be done on all four activities, giving away, guarding, purifying, and increasing with respect to each of the 3, your body, possessions, and roots of virtue. They are both analytical meditations maintained through analysis by means of the wisdom of individual analysis, and placement meditations in which the mind is placed single-pointedly without analysis.
Terdiza, the Chitani Gom said, in Jimmy Piggy, Chicken Job, Goming Gomar, Gomiga Yon Chores, Jegam and Jogomiga, Niga Yugres.
So, in general, when we look at our idea of what meditation is not just limited to sitting in a certain posture and just being single-pointedly focused. There are 2 forms of meditations that Lama Tsongkhapa refers to here. There is a placement meditation in which you cultivate this single pointness of mind, but there are also analytical meditations.
The Numa Yudo, one lamb chirashi, Chegum yinla, chindas jogum yishinas. Shenyin la teba gombatan, tamjur tunchishi nikawa imbasambatan, shiva mutagwa. Ani lender koi nimi, chanjugi sem gombatawani, chegum kogres.
And that being the case here, Lama Tsongkhapa explains these two forms of meditation: placement meditations and analytical meditation. So, identification of analysis and stabilization. Stabilization are placement meditations. So, what kind of path is analytical meditation, and what kind of path is placement meditation? He says, for meditation such as the cultivation of faith in the scriptural teacher, the preciousness of the freedoms and endowments, and how difficult it is to find them, death and impermanence, actions and their effects, the faults of cyclic existence, and the cultivation of bodhicitta, analytical meditation is necessary.
Kaso teba gomba tsang tanju tenjen re samba tsang mayin ba yang yang sam chen sem ting phile ya ani suzuki sem ting kaso da chi tegu ting ni sheba ta ani chi tanju tenjen se da ngone tan re sam sem ting ya chi gogi ja tu ya chi timji chi ani samlo yong ya chi parto ani chegum chi gores.
First off, Lama Tsongkhapa explains here how you maintain an analytical meditation. So you choose a certain topic for your analytical meditation, such as, for example, you choose the meditation on recognizing your life of freedoms with freedoms and opportunities. So first of all, you analyze and investigate your freedoms and opportunities, and then you do that meditation again and again. So it's not enough just to simply recognize that you have freedoms and opportunities. You want to develop as a deep, heartfelt recognition of how you do have those freedoms and opportunities, to the point in which there is a mental shift, a mental movement that creates, in which you completely fathom this notion of having freedoms and opportunities. And until you get to the point in which there is a shift that is created in your mind, you need to still continue with this meditative process. Just to recognize it as a one-off thing is not going to cut it.
Bena shinyin la teba gombi goba kare zo kare sena ani chi kige teba josa yu ani shinyin di chi chenbuji da yagbuji soyak chedu marwas teba gombi zo di susu yugi shen la ya makubi bena ngarje da thadolo soba timji ton josi makubi go joras makubi go doyak chedu ani teba gombi gores de dinza teba la ya shuk chabo gyurung gombaina sem ding ani teba yongech ti yobaina ani makubi logi ani gojye ta matugech ro o dindiji yungure sungosare.
This is what the next section in the text says. It says that you need to do it repeatedly again and again, and through that your mental strength gains momentum. It becomes bigger and bigger. So for example, you meditate on faith. And the purpose of meditating on faith is not to make the object of your faith appear to your mind to be bigger and greater and better and so forth. That's not the purpose of meditating on faith. The purpose is to rid yourself of such some negative attitudes, such as disrespect, a lack of appreciation, and so forth. So in order to rid ourselves of those, we again and again meditate on faith.
Manzulolaya Karina Shasigoras, Tabaki Mu sa Choni, Shargori, Tabaki Yondeng Chania, and Tatuya Tindi Yungoras, Kanji Tabagomikalaya, and Tabaki sa Chon, Kanji Yondeng Chon Mado, and Kyung Choni, Kedzim Tomba in a yang, and Susu Kyung Munzichin, Pakatam Chigoyadi, and Tabaki Vita, and Chagin Yashut. ro chaje yakshut chagores shenyen la ya pagdon de rang gewi shenyen la ya an yondeng ki chan sang dang chen ro an kyen tes to da kyen di song chen an shen ro de ba na ne ya di social new year ma do shen ba new year ma ras Suzuki Semdi, and Duraya, Maguba Sadraya, Maral Sadraya, Chana, Ani Tachomudas.
So then when we follow this meditation process repeatedly, such as, for example, meditating in faith, it is possible that all sorts of things will still appear to our mind. After all, we are different individuals, we have different things that appear to the mind. It is very possible also that faults in that person will appear to your mind. So suppose that you're meditating on the development of faith in your spiritual teacher. So you have decided to rely upon a certain person as your spiritual teacher. Then you meditate on faith towards that person, and the purpose of that is to rid yourself of attitudes which are disrespectful and so forth. Now, it is possible that still faults will appear to your mind. It's still very possible, but in meditating on faith, what we're training our mind is to look at the good qualities rather than become focused on faults. Because if you are going to repeatedly remind yourself of that person's fault, inevitably what will happen is that you'll have a less sense of respect. Your mind would be less open to listen to the teachings. It might be that then your behavior in relation to them would become more crude. So then it's not that it endangers the spiritual teacher, but in terms of your spiritual development, it doesn't really benefit you.
대박 공바 있나? 아니 대박 야시야담바 하던데 랑기 기신인다 인데 랑기 파말라데 인데 페나 아니 수수기 드라임 바이나야 아니 델이야 아니 잠바kom니 이동 따야지 연구열어서 수수 드라임 바이나야 페나 상기기에 선전 탐지 인도 세지 인지기 경지 장배 세지네 아니 상기 바로스 선전 탐지에 이용도 통통해지 용도스 인상 안주기 이드몽와 아니 견 통해디 넌 소수 줄이야 아니 견진기 니무 숙청부 여행자 가와라 때는야 너도 까까블이야 아니 상기기 비기 고송투근 제발을 때바이네야 아니 이글라 마테바다 마롱바다 지금 만디바드니 통해 용도스 아니 디 마임 비기 탐마비 넘버 진지기 용인기 아니 간사진의 텔레장 견통 시그레스 이내야 견구촌 마데버친 이연댕기 촌 때바나 캡산도 소소라고 그랬어.
The meditation on faith involves with recognizing and observing the good qualities of a certain person. So of course that applies to your spiritual teacher, but it can also be sustained with respect to others, recognizing the good qualities of your parents. So even someone that you dislike, a humbler, an enemy, you can also, through reminding yourself that the person that you dislike has good qualities, and repeatedly, again and again, reminding yourself of the good qualities of that person, your mind can transform from a sense of dislike to that person to finding that person as someone that is close to your heart. Such mental transformation is possible if we focus on the good qualities of a certain person. So we use that form of meditation when we meditate on faith, for example, with respect to the Buddha. And when we then think of this mental transformation through which you can even observe an enemy, someone that you dislike, as someone that is actually close to your heart, this is what the Buddha did in developing loving kindness and compassion towards all sentient beings. The Buddha found all sentient beings as having that sense of appeal, as being close to his mind, or with that sense of affection. So looking at the way that we relate to others, we still find some people to be unappealing. We don't find that we have a sense of affection to some people. And why is it like that? It is because the mind is still governed by afflictive states of mind, by anger, attachment, and so forth. To the point in which, because of our afflictive states of mind, it might be that even if we encounter a Buddha that enacts their enlightened activities, physical, verbal, and mental enlightened activities, we will still find that person to be unappealing. We'll still find the person to be disagreeable. We will still find the person to have those negative qualities, to have those negative qualities that appear to our mind. It is possible, and if it is possible with the Buddha, it's also possible that when we encounter a certain sentient being, an ordinary sentient being, that we will have an appearance of faults rather than be able to observe the good quality of that person. So then there is a benefit, there is a personal profit in reminding ourselves at those occasions when faults appear to our mind that there are also good qualities. We will get a benefit or profit by making sure that we habituate our mind with recognizing and observing the good qualities of others.
아니 이형 초체니 아니 산지 지수 주고요라스 라 산지 지수 주고라스 이내 까까라야 간지 나와도 지 중원되기 아니 산지 좀 된데 임바이나야 피지 하나 마스나 초초를 지금 더더더 포문다님 따스야 보면도 더더 생이 송여다스라 간지 사서면서 윤거스 간지라 카리나 샤거스 로
So then we chose to follow the Buddha, the taught the Dhamma, having those two aspects, the aspect of the philosophical view of dependent origination and the practice of non-harmfulness. So as we decided to follow those teachings, it's still possible that faults would appear to our mind, and then our mind makes something out of those faults. And we also hold on to them as if this is absolutely correct. Like, for example, even with respect to the Buddha, even if we decide to follow this path of the philosophical view and the practice of dependent arising, it might be that certain ideas about what the Buddha taught will arise in our mind. Like, for example, that the Buddha taught in a discriminative way, having some gender bias towards women or towards men and so forth. It's still possible that such ideas will rise in our mind.
데리다 마크고 송고문이 비체단스 로 데다 비케바니 양도 소소도 비체니 공부 코나라리 비체스 간지 아니 공부 또 비용고 그랬어.
Continuing with the reading of this section, it says, we spoke of the necessity of analytical meditation. Then it says, for each of them, awareness of great strength and the ability to subdue the mind for a long time are necessary, because if they are absent, the counterparts, disrespect and the like, cannot be prevented. And because the generation of that awareness depends on nothing but the meditation, repeatedly analyzing through individual analysis.
Benas chayula dubit sema dotani gomba mana decha tabu kiwata jala yidumo sema mam sama shedan tabu kiwa ro dinga nyamnya yorasra kiwa shenos.
To illustrate that, Lama Tsongkhapa says, for example, just as intense attachment arises when you meditate on an object of attachment a lot, exaggerating its pleasant features, in the same way, intense hatred arises when you think of many unpleasant features with regards to an enemy. It happens to us, doesn't it?
Tena lam teta gombalani yuji number samusan jayes yuji number samusan chigwares tanyin sam ton jogonza chigwares inaya loyin zandang ani shu chala yujima kombi chegam chakures.
Hence, with regards to cultivating these paths, no matter whether or not the aspect of the object appears clearly, or it can appear to different degrees of clarity, the mind's mode of apprehension must be intense and long-lasting, which is why you should do analytical meditation.
제금 진행 말이스. 아니 제금 지나 이게 심지 찍도 내발이야. 까보 거랑기 뉴비언자 디까는 조금 잡고 그랬어. 대라는 조금 고소스.
So up until now, Lama Tsongkhapa referred to sustaining an analytical meditation. Then he speaks about practicing placement or stabilizing meditation. It says in the context of practicing shamatha, which enables you to place the mind on whatever single object you wish, since someone whose mind cannot stay on a single object will not be fit for quiescence if he analyzes again and again, it's necessary to practice placement meditation for that. So if you're seeking to develop a meditation in which your mind is placed single pointedly upon an object, if you then begin with constant or repeated analysis of the object, it will impede your stability meditation, your ability to be placed upon the object.
수대들 미시바 개바이나 제금 코나 잘라스. 군살리는 조금 코나 차오 시마와 마인데 레레 꺄니가 자고 비체데 개베 꺄 신의 소드고라. 군살리 꺄 신인의 대바 슈타고 소 드고 비체스.
And this explanation continues with the second point, refutation of the misconception that asserts that although they are both analytical and placement meditations, one single person does not practice them. Although some who do not know this approach claim that if you're a scholar, you should only do analytical meditation, while sadhus should only do placement meditations. This is not so because it is necessary to do both one by one, because the learned also needs to achieve shamatha. The sadhus also need to achieve strong faith in the scriptural teacher and the like.
대나스다 대나 소수도 시르기 양양 저번에 퇴숨 기값인데 퇴받은 쌈비값 퇴받은 쌈비값이야 아니 시르기 양양 제고르스 인데 냠는 기값 뭐는 냠든 좀봐 미리라 된거다 냠는 기값 말에 퇴숨 기값 본다 퇴숨 기값을 해서 디 너버리스 또바 탐지 세만 좀바인데 산개와가 개체원양도 좀만이 순의 예지기 덴지기 또바다 수신 일어치비 또바니 마치비 깨리스.
So then Tsongkhapa draws a conclusion from this section saying, therefore, the idea that repeated analysis with wisdom of individual analysis belongs to the context of hearing and reflecting, rather than to the context of practice, is unreasonable. So it is possible that we develop some misunderstandings with respect to how we should proceed in our meditation, in thinking that this repeated analysis with the wisdom of individual analysis, it is only done when you study and reflect, rather than doing it when you practice. So if you do have that idea, here Lama Tsongkhapa points out that it is unreasonable, it is incorrect. And it continues with the refutation of the misconception that asserts that all conceptions apprehend signs. The understanding that all conceptions apprehend signs and therefore create obstacles to enlightenment has the fault of not discriminating between improper mental attention, the conception of true existence, and proper mental attention, the conception of reality.
담만 디르다 수미이지기 덴지기 남도다 수진이라 집이 또보니 노르바이나 베사그레스 또보 탐지 아니 논주기 돌고야다 아니 까고야 딘디지 싸우는 체고 말이스 당부 베이기 수진이라 제바스 다 유지 베나 닐 수진이라 챙이기 아니 또보디 네버도 고고레스 아니 디 아니 나 퇴비 셔럽가레 삼비 셔럽가레야 팀거다 디 균캬니 아니 수지일의 집이 또방 퇴 아니 퇴받던 삼비기 셔럽 균캬니 아니 곰비기 셔럽래야 곰중글로래야 프로그램도 디니 혼도 마송바 아니 곰중 생이바지 라 그 덴빈데로라 미기 곰중 생이바지 자원이 몸스 거레스
Тогда цемар зимбас야 디페시 건조만초 цемар зимбака인도 디페시 하고요서는 그런 데시기.
오케이. 센지 또바 탐지 덴즈레 삼데. tenores years that tobalaya and denzi imbachi denzi maimba one chu nearly and tonding toban years.
When Jetson Kappa refutes the misconception that asserts that all conceptions apprehend signs, this term apprehending sign refers to apprehending true existence. So someone might have the idea that we need to rid ourselves of all conceptual consciousnesses. They would say that all conceptual consciousnesses are wrong because all of them grasp at true existence. So therefore, the purpose of your meditation is to become non-conceptual. So Lama Tsongkhapa here refutes that misconception that what we need to do is only to make our mind become non-conceptuals and thereby not apprehend signs, not apprehend true existence. He says that that's a wrong understanding because it says the understanding that all conceptions apprehend signs and therefore create obstacles to enlightenment has the fault of not discriminating between improper mental attention, the conception of true existence on one hand, and the proper mental attention, the conception of reality on the other hand. So Lama Tsongkhapa points out here that you could have correct conceptions and incorrect conceptions. You can have proper conceptions and improper conceptions. So improper conceptions or incorrect conceptions would be those that conceptualize true existence. But you can also have correct conceptions, proper conceptions, which lead you to an understanding of reality. So indeed, our goal is to develop a non-conceptual realization of reality. But in order to do that, first of all, we begin with a conceptual consciousness. So we begin with a conceptual consciousness that arises in a process of study and reflection. So we conceptualize our understanding of what reality is. We do that repeatedly in our meditation, to the point in which in our meditation we can go beyond that and even turn that conceptual consciousness to be non-conceptual. But it has to begin with a conceptual consciousness. So therefore, if someone asserts that in the meditation process your goal is just to rid yourself of conceptual consciousness, that's a misconception about meditation.
Then on the same layer, and Kyung Chachik, the Yunding Chachik, Ni Yungoros, Ra, the Kyung Zawadi, and Sensing Topaset, Sensing Topas Lanma, Dinaya, Samarzum Baset, Samarzum Topaset, Sensing Topaset, the Denzilla Jagoras. The Denzis love in the Pena, any Nanzu, now Yambi, Lochioras, now Yambi, Lodilia. Nga nansul di nga chikpi dodo siyabadoch su khanaya ani chi mission su khanaya tumugung su khana tumugung kanji ani nga chikpi leya shimju cheda nga unyambi golaya nga ani koran mun yabadoch kanji dodo si and nangdi wars di now nanshin taharan sambi lodeleya ani Tenzin Segores, Denzin Segores, Ra, that D and Kian Samalo, Chardang La Sobigi, Kian Samadi, Lo Digin Dengores, Lo Din Dengores.
The understanding that all conceptions apprehend signs and therefore create obstacles to enlightenment is again explained in the following way. So we do have faults and qualities. We have faults and qualities, and the source of our faults, the different faults that we have, is called the apprehension of signs. Another term for this apprehension of sign is grasping a true existence. Right? These mean the same thing. Apprehension of signs and grasping a true existence is getting at the same thing. So how can we illustrate what it is? So all of us have a notion of ourselves, a notion of I. When we look at the way that I or me appears to our mind, it seems that there is that concrete sense of me, as if there is this lump of me that exists independently from everything else. It does not depend upon anything else. this is the notion of I or me that appears to your mind. And if you investigate how I appears to your mind when you think about yourself, you will be able to recognize how there is this appearance of something that exists independently as a lump of I. This is the notion of self. And that is the basis for the development of anger, attachment, and so forth. So this notion of self, an independent self, is what we call apprehension of signs. All faults arise from that.
Re dinza tindi nganzin digi nga ani nga gi nelu thi nga netsu numa di le ya shinji lochin kanji nga rang ngi chubat nga raman chubati zingyores ta din ji gi lo di senam du kyen di pa tsama soshi gi lo di khares lawana ani sujin yele chabat nga nelu kain badi ani zimbi gi lo di gi lo di tsama soshi gi nga ta chama da wasna lo di chagat ta di ko ani komdig ton lo tele ya computer gi ani lo shinju lo di ani yedrech ro yedrech ta di dinjin da tsama sodan ro ro songi lo di dire di tsama sosu dia tele ya komdig tensin kombi to gi ani chisho yedrech chago das ro.
Though we have this notion of an independent self that exists from its own side independently, this is erroneous. And we want to recognize the way that I or me exist in reality, the actual mode of abidance. So how do we clean away this mistaken sense of I, this erroneous sense of I? Well, we need to cleanse it, like using a broom to sweep away something that is dirty, right? So we also sweep away using the broom of wisdom, the erroneous notion of self. And we do that through, again and again, developing this proper attention, correct attention that focuses on the way that I exist. So doing it as a one-off thing or every once in a while is not going to cut it. That needs to be done repeatedly again and again in order to develop habits, in order to become accustomed to recognizing the way that the I does exist.
Tendi kablaya ani thawkila tuji chimode democratic ching kusung tu yandenti kan tu sam and delia chi ani cha chimbi kalche na chi ben the chup wa kamon men di chi sama je phuchi and di dunaya ani chi da ngaki mu sambi ngaki mu sambi ani me ngaki mu se ngat kan yemek Kari yime, su yime tolaya, and Piggy, and the only shong did not yours, give us some chuma, Namshaman could tell you, give a concert, indeed, Sigil Jachin, and it's so Munzinch, so call yime, Munzinchin, Tajichin, Kamachuchong, Comgiavana, Nanyamyon the made the Jatamba, Piggy, and it's Shadan Trabo, and it's Desha Trabo, and it might give you Shimba yon there, the kanji shu yon there, di Gasha Jataman yon drove song to Sra.
So in terms of developing these habits, removing our erroneous consciousnesses, we can do that. Geshe is convinced, 100% convinced that it is possible to do it. So for example, just in order to illustrate that, we have occasions in which there is this strong unhappiness that appears in our mind. We become utterly despondent. Or it could be that fierce anger arises in our mind. Or we become very attached to something. It is possible that every once in a while those strong sense of mind appear, and during those times the mind is made unhappy. So then if you think of using those periods in order to identify the notion of I that appears to your mind during those occasions, well, you begin your meditation with recollecting the qualities of body, speech, and mind of the Buddha. You might make offerings at the beginning of your meditation, even as far as just offering a glass of water, in creating this mind that is amenable to meditation, when you remind yourself of the qualities of body, speech, and mind of the Buddha. And then you turn your attention to your mind and you recognize the strong other mental unhappiness or anger and so forth, and the notion of I that joins that strong state of mind. And you start to analyze whether you can find that notion of I. Who is the person that appears to your mind in that way? And you can use meditation techniques that were explained in the Madhyamika system, such as, for example, one verse says that the being or the person is not the earth element, not the water, not the fire, not the wind element, and not space. Where else is the being apart from them? So you can use such meditation techniques in order to investigate who am I in a way that I appear to my mind. And if you spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes meditating it in such a way, Geshe feels, although he says that he doesn't have like a really thorough experience of this topic, he still believes 100% guaranteed that our strong states of mind, anger, unhappiness, attachment, and so forth, can abate. It can be diminished.
Jangan dinti chigu wasar sira tambo pigi le shoji pigi semdi ani kya de yude tichana ani desajila padule dejin ani ujimbu khashistana ko subodi nange long de chigdo asira di u khashi thanga chichin sem koran tolaba shashi and di samne ta chig penangan nagdu sambigi ani nga nagdu laiza ngat khayeme Pigi Nagi Lava Nagana, Drango Nagana, Kamba Nagana, the tea, any Nadi, Membadi, Nazi Lamsa Hakoras, two Chini, that Naki Mutungan, some Nad Chiteji Cheda, any Pay Yam Sembrojik. Could ya move in Nelure, move in Nelu Tolia, some town, the Yacha Jatamo, put them big cholia, locus choli, any Zumbi chogi. Lodi Tarin Drachik, the Ungros.
It is a useful thing to do, particularly in which you experience those states of mind which seem to be quite heavy, quite substantial. So you first off sit for your meditation and you want to create a mind that is more relaxed and amenable to the process of meditation. So at the beginning of your meditation, you could first of all make the mind become more relaxed by observing your breath. So you might take a deep breath. You might count around a few breaths in order, first of all, to ground your mind. And then if you experience, for example, some pain or sickness, then you investigate the notion of I or me that appears to your mind when you think to yourself, I'm sick or I'm in pain. So when you think, for example, I'm in pain, I have a headache, I have a tummy ache, my hand is in pain and so forth, then through that you can investigate where is the I or me within that. Can I find it? So for example, when you think of, no, I have a pain, I have a headache, well, where is me? Am I in my head? My hand hurts, so is the me the hand? So when you think about it like that, Geshe feels that quite easily and simply you can see that there is no particular location in which you can pin down the self, the I, and in that meditative process whereby you look for the self that appears to your mind so strongly, you won't be able to find it. In that sense, it disappears. Also, similarly, when your mind is unhappy or moody and so forth, when you think to yourself, I'm unhappy, and then you wonder, can I find this I that is unhappy? and try to pin it down, at the end of your meditation, you'll not be able to find it. So you can get an experience of that through your meditation process. And in so doing, your state of mind will then be turning towards what is real, what is true. And in turning towards reality, you're turning away from what is not true, what is not real.
mikpala shawndi miwa sawu chatuya miwa tembu yongile pengyonza ani keks yugundu sambadi norbares tini sonyeng males dedar penas serdan ngurne ngarwa kebi yanda yandu me sikshe chutuna thamji jandi ani shindu nyeshe lerondu gyewe ani tenam teni najela sobi gencha chindu gyewe choba shindu 혼라 뉴문다 뉴 뉴문 로선 예전 나라 나위 렌데탄 코위 님이 공발로 소비 감니 종한테 소수도 비세르기 디 님이 양야 공바 셈콘도 도문교 교원주의 이지기 셀 메르시 것인도 낙쇼남 네 이치초가 체질 주마테다 종라 주마테다 종라스 신인기 용된다 단주기 된죠 군주스미 용된 까비 레드트 찬주스미 피 종어 딸 소소도 비세르기 대다기 용된 양양 공부 셈 램버교 대벌기 이지기 셈 이지기 셀추 추바다 가쇼 남라 이군도 초바탄 가버진 게위 추기 셈 램버 체토스.
All right, so we have a massive paragraph here to read. Let's do it. So, refutation of the misconception that asserts that if a lot of analytical meditation is done prior to the arising of concentration, it becomes an obstacle. So the idea, it is necessary to achieve a non-conceptual concentration that allows you to place the mind on a single object in whatever way at will. And if you do a lot of analytical meditation beforehand, it will become an obstacle to the arising of concentration. It is not upheld in the present instruction. So some have that misconception. They say that if you want to develop this concentration that becomes non-conceptual, if you precede that meditation with doing an analytical meditation, it will be an obstruction. It will be a hindrance. Tsongkhapa says, thus, by way of analogy, when a skillful smith burns gold or silver in the fire and washes it in water again and again, all the impurities are removed and it becomes very pliant and supple, whereby it can subsequently be made into any jewelry like earrings at will. Likewise, just as at first the afflictions, the secondary afflictions, and faulty conduct emerge on the occasion of meditating on black or negative actions and their effects and the disadvantages of cyclic existence, by meditating on such disadvantages again and again with the wisdom of individual analysis, the mind will become completely tormented or disenchanted. Therefore, it is like burning gold in a fire. Similarly, just as one's mentality turning away from the non-virtuous side emerges cleansed of defilements on the occasion of meditating on the excellent qualities of the spiritual friend, the Lama, the preciousness of freedoms and endowments, the excellent qualities of the three jewels, virtuous actions and their effects, and the benefits of bodhicitta. Through mental activity, meditating on these excellent qualities again and again with the wisdom of individual analysis, the mind is imbued with them and becomes clear, whereby it is like washing gold with water. Then it says, through one's mentality approaching the virtuous side and delighting in it, the mind is imbued with virtuous qualities.
Terza kanji thöba tang sambi ki tobki ta chegam chechini ani cheon digi nganju sem pegi ta kambododi ro sem kambododi ani chulun lamba chewa na shinki dichayangris pegi le ya kawale ya komdi temba ile ya ani ditolo ya rotungiro sungora inza tedar gyonna 아니 실라 칸 드본 데바 텔라 이 데바나 아니 지 까츠 마무슈치 규무고와 아니 베벤 드야치 융고레스 이제 대답이 제금네 아 무도비 땡인지 간지 아니 곰중 땡인지 드비기 탑 총기거드리스
The point that Jetson Kavan makes here is that our dry mind is made moist through analytical meditation that is done on the topics that we study and reflect upon. And through that, we acquire habits. The acquiring of habits is what creates that, that gives moisture, so to speak, to our mind. So Lama Tsongkhapa says here, when it has been transformed in that way, whatever you wish to achieve, whether shamatha or special insight, you will achieve it without difficulty when your mind is focused on it, right? So that process of beginning with analytical meditation through study and reflection and so forth, at the end, Lama Tsongkhapa says that you will achieve shamatha and special insight without difficulty when your mind is focused on it. That is why such analytical meditation is the best means of achieving non-conceptual concentration.
대다리안 파버 토미기 스탠딩 로상이 뺀나 가라운 가베 도만 케버 시키 강기체 세름 무시 드마타 니마 탐지 잠비체 뒤두스 메르식시 추트나 겐테다 대다도 자원이지 레스로 수기 온숨도 제번 규르데 대란 가라운 가베 도만 케버 대단 준비 조시버티 가치기 겐디 넘버 찐도바 테 교와체버 대전도 nenjobejan kangitse semde nasamla sobe tmata ningmala sobe michoba niki gyobar chela nyumba jengi ye medewala michoba ninda gewi chola ngombar gawala ngondu choba niki ngombar gawa chena nenjobate semde sinigi chosa tangdongi chok kanda kandala ngeba joba cheba tedala shindu nyebar jorwata shindu nedo papa meyowa Mungo Geshe, Chedarsami, Yan Jubisher, Draw and Guru, Shisonsus.
So we have another paragraph with a lot of words. So it says, that is how Arya Sangha also puts it. By way of analogy, when a smith or his skillful apprentice burns gold or silver in a fire and washes it with water a couple of times in order to discard all impurities and slag, it becomes pliant and supple for this and that ornament. Their method makes it evident. With their appropriate know-how of a smith or skillful apprentice, they then fashion any manner of ornament desired by means of their smith's tool. Likewise, when a yogi does not turn his mind towards impurities and slag such as covetousness, he thereby becomes disenchanted, turns away from an unhappy afflicted mentality, and approaches manifest joy in the virtuous side, whereby becoming manifestly joyful. In that case, the yogi certainly trains his mind in either the side of shamatha or on the side of special insight, such that it is thoroughly applied to this and that, rests in its natural state, is immovable and unwavering, and also is directed for the sake of perfectly achieving whatever purpose he has contemplated.
The Shayans sent me Balapi, then Chabar Nibi, Gargingi 2 de la Nioris, on the same Migba 2 de Penatachi, Dembi Migwala Soba, and gave Migwalaya, Tembu Chile, Nevi, Guardian the Mosno 2 Nioris, Chawan the Gobatris, Chiwas the same Masavicha, same Nyovicha, a di Chimare, Gobaslavandi, 2 and Chabi chok, and Semki, Yul Shinlia, Indroeti, and Gobas Lavoris, Tini Tonita, Kanji Semi Patici Nevalia, Gajin Sudi, Tini Chagoris.
And Jetson Complex continues with the explanation of these modes of meditation. It says further, the main adverse condition to the mind abiding on an object continuously is twofold: laxity and excitement. So we have these two hindrances to a placement meditation, or a meditation in which you abide on the object continuously. Laxity is a state in which the mind is made unclear or sluggish. So you might try to maintain your meditation, but your mind sinks. It becomes sluggish, it becomes unclear. That's called laxity. The other type of hindrance is when the mind is drawn to another object of meditation. We call that excitation, right? So these are the twofold, laxity and excitation. So here Jensen Kappa says, with respect to these two hindrances, the main adverse condition to the mind abiding on the object continuously is twofold: laxity and excitement. If you have a strong and constant awareness that sees the excellent qualities of the three jewels and so forth, it is quite easy to overcome laxity.
Tapena goba levi kalaya chima melevi suraj dos duste ondi and chima levi kalaya goba melevi suraj the di imbana chimi nimbole ya goba pigi and chaksam ti and chaksam tena career sandwich tobo yon chosares ina di ani semmi balaya tsechi nevi and tabla drovenza and chima shiva samjigi and pento skiyo marwas in the chabatene pento yo mares.
So we certainly have those two hindrances for the cultivation of continuous placement on an object of meditation. We have the fault in which the mind becomes lax, or in which the mind becomes excited. So these two faults also do not occur at the same time, in the sense that when your mind is excited, it is not sinking. When the mind is sinking, when it is lethargic or when it is sluggish, when it is unclear, it is not excited. So while these two do not occur in the same time, when they do occur, you need to look at the way in which you remove those faults. So for example, suppose that your mind is sinking with a sense of laxity. If you then think that in order to remedy laxity, I need to develop attachment in my mind, that will be something that will uplift my mind. You can say that, well, you can use it as a technique. Really, it's not the technique for developing meditation in which at the end you will be free from laxity. So just if you think that what I need now is to develop attachment in order to remedy laxity, as goal here is not just to rid the mind of laxity. And therefore, it's not really appropriate to think that therefore the antidote to that is just to develop attachment.
Chingling nimbo yakshudi sem maseva sem myoto chaya anji odi nimbo di ani kunjola sobi yonden tongi lo shugtala yunjima yona chingwan choba shindi hadis di nimbo ni yonden tongi goni sem singteba imba senden tume sombicheros.
So it might be that laxity is present, and as we said, attachment is not the remedy for that. So in terms of what would be the remedy for laxity, Lamrim Kappa here says, if you have a strong and constant awareness that sees excellent qualities of the three jewels and so forth, it is quite easy to overcome laxity. For many valid sources say that its antidote is to uplift the mind by looking at excellent qualities.
Da medaba da dunga sobi niming tongi lo shugtala yunjima yona goba choba shindi hadis goban decha chado yimbi sem iwan yimbis di nimbola Geshe ngaba jong tumani ro Geshe ngaba jong tumani sombiches.
Then with respect to the second fault, which is excitation, it says if you have a strong and constant awareness that sees the disadvantages of impermanence, suffering, and so forth, it is quite easy to overcome excitement, because since excitement is a distracted mind belonging to the category of attachment, Many texts praise disenchantment as its antidote. Mark, can you check?
Yeah.
Marcus?
When you talk about laxity, when listening to this, it seems to reflect on mental laxity, but mental laxity is also influenced by physical laxity. And so where do you draw the line there? What happens when you get into physical laxity influencing your mental laxity?
So when you speak about physical laxity, you mean just being tired, or just when your body is sluggish,
Yeah,
or
just your body
or heavy?
slips away to a certain level. No.
So I'm just going to repeat the question for the people at home that might not have heard you. So you're saying that here the text speaks about mental laxity, but what about physical laxity, in the sense that sometimes we become mentally lethargic or mentally lax because of our physical states? So if the body is in a state of laxity, also our mind becomes like that. So
yeah, and whatever you then think about the jewels, you just don't get there to
Yeah.
get your mind back to the level of activity.
Yeah, so whatever you think of at this point, even if you think of the 3 jewels, you're not going to get back to the point of activity. Dila chingwa tola Geshe gyundwa. Dila zogi sengi chingwa tola keshigi dus. Ine sansan sokpo kuran sokpo chingwa sadi sokpo nyokto chagirwa. Sokpo nyokto chawa ina dila tene sem chingwa dene chagirwa. Misewa shum meba dene chagirwa. Kabdila kesi sokpo nyokto chi chawa ina kabdila yan kuncho sumbi yonten tola samlo tanayan shida pengi marwa. Chizan di sokpo nyokto kabsulayan kare kachogoragi tento yashu karenas.
Tachidang subu di kodu sma khopro yachik. Subu korang rangshen la ya ko titsu long digi khopro yachire das. Dela ya ki sem gi tone ta yoj tang so na lu jihad yakshi lu jihad re das. Nyamnechi lu jihad yam tuwa na ten shenpa len tuwa na yakshi tuwa da peshi nganzu lojong di lojong rang re ma do anji lu la penya che troch chita chag ma dos ine ta kap la ya ten den anji ngansu ya semba yabu semba le yo na ani ngansu te tinji yong chog ras ben ni ya ko ya la so ba an din le ba na ya ko ransing lu la penya des den yong ras.
But you can look at that in 2 ways. One of them is through the process by which our body is going from bad to worse. So our body is declining. And in that sense, you could say that since it loses its edge, then there will be also a kind of a decline in its ability to be kind of fresh and refreshed and so forth. So the best solution for that, just to get a new body. And it will happen at some point. That's the way to go. So, but then apart from that, indeed, we do have occasions in which our body is tired. And if the body is tired, you might try to use your mind, you might try to make the mind clear. But in those situations where you feel tired, just go take a rest. It's good to take a rest. If you need to go to sleep or have a nap and so forth, then you do that in order to make sure that, first of all, the body is fresh again, and then it can also support a mind that is also refreshed. Yeah, so Geshe said that other than saying that, he doesn't know if there's something else that he can think of. Shall I leave it here for now? Thank you. So we'll do the dedication verses somehow. Let's see where the file is. Probably I closed it. Just a second. In English, all right. So May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that is not arisen arise and grow. May that which is arisen not diminish but increase more and more. Due to this merit of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of regular Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. In this land encircled by snow mountain, you are the source of all happiness and good, all powerful cleansing yourself. Please remain until samsara ends. You uphold the subduer's moment where yourselves in the platform were called, sustaining, preserving, spreading Arjuna's victorious doctrine. O masterfully accomplished, magnificent praise, honor to the three jewels, protector of self-denial. Please, leave alone.
Thank you.
Can I just make a
Yeah.
little announcement?
Yeah.
It's for 90% sure now that next week people come to concrete road. So there will be 152 meter, which is like halfway between the art center, 10-15 meters behind the art center, all the way up to the ramp, including widening of the ramp, up to the top of the ramp.
What's the ramp?
The ramp is when you come from the gate, and then you have the steep hill.
The
The existing concrete ramp will be widened, and there will be also a layer over it because it's broken at many spots. So I think we have to thank also Karen and Tim and Venerable Tony and all the other people, the Vietnamese group that have donated for that. Yeah. And it's also, I made a calculation, if we would do the existing part, which is from the gate to where we are going to concrete, which is about 132 meters, that would be an extra of 24,000 something.
Only.
Yeah. Well, it's not more money, but in a way, it's gonna, if that can happen,
yeah,
we would have a dust-free art center. That would be a nice thing. So this doesn't need to happen now, but it's something we definitely can consider for the future.
What day? Do we know what day that is?
So we try to have Monday still open, and then it will be from Tuesday really starting to work on the road, and it will take about 10 days. But now there is some level of agreement which needs to be confirmed today with Norm, the neighbor, that we can use the road going over his land and then to pass by. Yeah.
So you let us know.
I'll let you know that. But because so many people together here, I thought this is a good opportunity to go ahead and say it. Yeah.
Otherwise, we can go by foot, surely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you would still be able to pass, but where the current ramp is, the slope is, it's only 2.3 meters now, and you're going to add on 1.2 meter. So there will be a little bit difficult to pass.
But I guess that for the time being, people can also use the upper paddock if you need to get in, right? So there's a paddock.
Yeah, maybe that would be good if some cutting can be done then there, because it's a lot of high grass.
I can pull like homemade scissors and stuff.
No, but also there's a point of ticks
Yeah.
if you go through there.
Yeah.
It's also completely safe to walk on the concrete after one day. You can't drive on it, but you can walk on it. So.
So then also the solar panels are installed like in a week or two, right?
Yeah.
All right.
They are now in the harbor.
Okay.
In the harbor?
In the harbor, yeah. And it takes, it's a delay in the custom clearance going on. So, yeah, waiting for those to come in.
Wonderful.
Do you actually know how you get to Norm's wheel? Like, I'm not sure how we access that.
I think when you drive towards Sindways, it's before the gate that you go on your right, this way to get up there.
Will there be a sign there?
And then, yeah, we will.
So where does it come out in here?
You just come out where he's selling the eggs,
Oh, right.
that area.
Right, thank you.
So that's just past the works.
Right.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you at lunch.
See you lunch.
See you in a moment. Tower photos.
There's more downstairs.
Lots of towers down there.
How are you?
Yeah.
How big is chouchou? It's in French, my little cabbage.
Yeah, mon
It's
petit
an
chou.
endearing. It's an endearing
Did you
term.
say mon petit chou?
Yeah.
The other one is la biche.
La biche is easier. What is it mean?
Goat.
Sorry?
Goat.
Goat. La biche. How are you, la biche?
Yes, it is an endearment. Oh, biche.
Although my little cabbage is
I know. Mon petit chouchou.
Oh, petit chouchou. So last weekend, I drove with Geshe through Palmwoods, and we saw you in. Sorry. Yeah, we saw you and Lucy. You with the country hat, and Lucy going, just walking. Palmwoods.